Okay, so if we move on then to one technique that can be used, and this technique can be used whether or not you have advanced assembly license or you don't. Okay, so you can see there a really simple tree where we've got a top level assembly, a master model part, and then another part. The idea here is to say, okay, we've drawn some common geometry in the master model. So we've got a plane, an axis, a sketch, a surface that we want to share to this part. Okay, so the traditional approach is to activate that. So that's, I don't know if you saw that there, but the little green button comes up. That means we've activated the part. Okay, and then what we do is we, either copy that or we probably can't really copy a plane. We probably just either create an additional plane that's a reference or directly start to sketch on it. We do a copy surface from that quilt. So Control C, Control V, just copy and paste, and it'll go into the active model. And then we can deactivate. So that can work, but what's happening here, sorry, let me just go through the clicks. So then they've decided to thicken that surface, okay, which is fine. As I mentioned, cannot copy datum references. So this is not a copy. This is like either sketching on it or an additional plane, which is offset at 0 from the original plane. We have a link here, which is between part 1 and the master model. So we know that, but it also actually relies on the top level assembly because this model was assembled in a particular way, and so was this one. And so their relative positions matter. So that assembly means that basically means for now and forevermore, this part has a link back to the assembly. Okay. If we're to try and reuse this part somewhere else, we need that assembly to go along with it. And so this sort of shows the flow. Okay, so this part actually has a reference to the top level assembly. The other thing here as well is that, okay, we've got part 1, but we might have part 2, 3, 4, 5, and everything else that's in the assembly as well. If we're starting to do this stuff, it's very hard to control where we're copying something from or which plane we're sketching on or so on, and unless we're very, very, very careful. So, in the case, let's say we had a part 2 and we wanted to sketch on this plane from the master model, but this plane from the master model is in exactly the same spot as part 1. Okay, so when we go and do a sketch, we're like, oh, that looks good enough. Now, if we actually end up picking this plane, we now have a link between part 1 and part 2 and the assembly, and we actually don't link back to the master model. And if we then go and make a change downstream, the results are unpredictable without actually investigating them. Okay, so when we're sort of activating these parts in assembly level, everything that's in the background is really still active. Okay, so that's without advanced assembly extension.